60 Minutes Overtime.
This week on 60 Minutes, our story is about the humanitarian efforts going on in Afghanistan.
It's very important that they hear what you've had to say today.
Ashley Velie is the producer of this story.
And that's what's missing right now.
Setting up a story to shoot in Afghanistan is one of the most difficult things you can imagine.
And it all starts back at home in New York City, dealing with missions and consulates for Afghanistan whose workers are not part of the Taliban, who say to you, well, look, we can give you a stamp in your passport, but we can't guarantee that you're actually going to get in or that you're going to be, okay there, and you have to absolve us of all responsibility. So this is the final leg of our long journey.
I feel like I wasn't feeling confident until we got through the airport in Afghanistan that we were going to get in. In fact, our crew went in and they got stamped, the guys, right? And then when we both went in, the guy was very angry to see us women arrive, and he stamped it and pushed it to the side.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, welcome to Afghanistan. Here we go.
I had been negotiating to get an interview with this Taliban health minister who speaks English. That interview was on the ropes, like for most of the week. It was on, it was off. And so, we were at the very end of our week. We were pretty tired, and we got the late call to set up to do the interview with the health minister.
As we're setting up, there's guys with guns standing behind us. I kept thinking, is he going to stand behind me? They were smart enough to move out of frame. We do the interview, and the minister keeps trying to cut it off and leave at various points during the interview. And he says, I think we've had enough.
I think till this time, we have covered all the issues.
We don't want to talk about food. It keeps going. And afterwards, they invited us to come eat with them. And if invited to eat, you say yes, and we did. And was it strange? Yes, it was.
So they were pretty comfortable speaking English, and they were there to charm.
She also know that I have a 13.
Yeah, no, I told her, yeah. He has 13 kids.
But this was a secret.
Oh, what? Tell me
She
it
had
was
a secret thing with you.
The conversation went for about 30 minutes.
My daughter is 19-year-old.
Okay.
I don't think it was lost on anybody that we're there doing a story about people starving, the children starving, these families starving, and they've just laid out this beautiful spread for us. It was a really surreal event.
Really surreal.
Really surreal. There were definitely moments when we didn't feel safe, whether you were in the car in traffic and worrying about being a target that way, or walking through a province, or sitting down with the Taliban. I think that our heads were on a swivel the entire time we were there.
There's all these pockets of checkpoints now.
Massimo.
The Taliban are manning, and they're all wearing American military uniforms. And they're all sitting on top of sort of discarded American Humvees. And there you are, face to face with people in your own country's uniforms that used to be the enemy.
The people you would actively try to avoid when you were in
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
when you were there, and then you're relying on them. You're relying on them to escort you into these far-flung provinces 2 hours outside of the capital that were heavily entrenched in war up until a few months ago.
I'm not sure if things had really gone south that they were going to, protect us. And there were definitely times where we felt the opposite of being protected.
Who wants to be a doctor? Raise your hand if you want to be a doctor.
So koi doctor Afari.
Oh, a whole school of doctors.
We went into a girls' classroom in this far-flung province called Wardak. And this school was something that UNICEF had sat down with the Taliban with and started talking about back in 2018, the need for education, the benefits of education, what could come of it. And a young girl, 10, 11 years old, got up and read a statement talking about how they deserve to be educated, they deserve to work and have a place at the table in Afghan society. And that resolve coming from a 10-year-old, heartbreaking because it's hanging in the balance, but also heartening because there's that fight in there and there's that recognition that things can change.
زموږ باید حمایت وشي.
What's also like really fantastic about being Western women going into Afghanistan is the way the women respond to you. So Sharyn, because she's a woman, was able to sit down with a young 19-year-old girl who was in a desperate situation. A female doctor, same kind of thing.
How is it that you as a woman are still working under this Taliban rule?
To be honest, my family is not encouraging me to come and continue my job. The environment outside is not safe any longer. So the feelings as a mother, as a woman, and as a doctor makes me to come.
I was surprised. I think a lot of the groups we spoke to, the heads of these NGOs, the people who've been doing the negotiating with the Taliban were women.
Have they given any indication that they want you here, that they need you here?
Yes.
Mel McGorty is the director of the World Food Program in Afghanistan.
I don't think there's any man or woman in Afghanistan at the moment that doesn't understand the extent of the crisis that Afghans are seeing.
I was there 20 years ago. The Taliban had just fell, and it's a whole new world. And there was a lot of hope there in Afghanistan at the time. And 20 years later, here we are, and the Taliban are back.
Everybody paid attention at the evacuations. Everybody paid attention with refugees. Now let's look and see what's happening in Afghanistan now. And politics aside, it's a humanitarian crisis. We're going into winter. It gets really cold in Afghanistan. There's no food. We are about to walk into some very dark days. Well, just because we left Afghanistan doesn't mean the story's over.